Hey everybody, we've had an incredible number of flowers come into bloom this week, and I wanted to give you a look at them now because this coming week is pinch week. And pinch week means it's time to trim. And the reason why we trim a lot of these plants is because we want better branching and fuller plants. So we're going to have to sacrifice this batch of blooms so that we'll have more blooms later. I want to start down here. I'll start with the begonias first. These stunning double begonias are the Double Delight series from Proven Winners. You can see the flowers look almost more like roses. They have really thick petals. They're fantastic double. One thing interesting about double begonias is that sometimes they'll also produce a couple of single flowers, which are still very attractive, and they're almost not noticeable because the doubles are so showy. With begonias, we generally do not give them any kind of pinching or trimming. We just kind of keep an eye on them for shape, so if they start growing too much in one direction, we'll give them a trim. We'll probably cut these flowers off just to encourage more leaf growth. However, this variety has just been sending up more and more flowers, so I think the more we trim it, the more we're going to see flowers, it seems. And the color on this one is called Primrose. There's also the pink blush, and this one is just starting to come into flower, and it is so nice. It's got just a great little kind of pink, almost a little bit of a hint of salmon, but definitely more pink, and just a stunning, stunning begonia. Then behind those are the Surefire series, and you can see Surefire Red. These are those no-nonsense ones that we just absolutely love. Surefire Rose, and then Surefire White. Now the white is a little short right now just because we had given it a little bit of a hard trim when we planted it, but it's going to get up to size pretty quickly. But these are kind of our foolproof plants. They can do sun or shade. They can do just about anything. And I think the Double Delights also can do sun or shade. This one right here, I think that one's called Nonstop Orange. And you can see beautiful flower in that. That one's going to get a lot bigger. It's just nice to see that flower already in action there. Then these two trailing begonias here are part of the Waterfalls Encanto series. So this one here is the red. This one here is the white. There's also one other color. I think there's a pink one in there. So just fantastic begonias. These we do give a pinch because we notice that if we don't, those main branches tend to get kind of almost like a big tree stalk, because these are nice vigorous varieties. So we'll be giving those just a little pinch, probably in a couple days, maybe a little longer than that. Then behind those are some of the Superbenas. So this is the Superbena Imperial Blue, and this one here, flowers are a little spent on that one, but that is the Sparkling Rosé. In a previous video I called it Sparkling Amethyst, but this one's Sparkling Rosé actually. And these have been growing really fantastic. This is the first year we're carrying the Superbenas, and they are really nice growers. They tend to get nice and bushy, but yet they're a nice trailing plant as well. This one is a different series. This is the Lascar series, and this one is called, okay, I got to try to remember, I think it's Orange Lava. And what I really like about this color is it's a really intense, almost coral red, coral orange color. So it's not a true orange, even though the color says it's orange, but it is a very unique color, and this one is known for holding that color for the whole season. So we're excited to see that one in action. And then we're going to get into Calibrachoas. This is a brand new color this year. It is the Cha-Cha Fuchsia, and it is by far one of the most intense pink colors that I've seen, like that hot pink color. And the Cha-Chas get a really nice size. They're a mounding and trailing variety. They've been fantastic. This is the Diva Hot Pink. We've carried that one before. This one has a little bit of a color shift, so some of the flowers are going to be a little more pink than the others. But overall, just it's really nice. That color shift actually gives it a lot of character. And then we have a bunch from the Punch series. So this is Pomegranate Punch. This one here is Blue Moon Punch. Over here is Tangerine Punch, I think it's called. And then this one is Lemon Slice. So these are all Super Bells. This one's really unusual because it has that beautiful yellow stripe in there. And you don't see that in very many Calibrachoa. And then up here, this is a new variety as well. This is Hot Rose, and it has a really nice, intense pink color, and it is a different type of pink than some of the other ones that we've seen. And then that's the Cabaret Red, which we've carried before. Now I think it's time to move into Petunias. So this one here is Orchid Blush. You can see really large flower on that, and then just a really nice kind of color, almost like it's been painted with a watercolor. with that pink and, you know, with the white rim on it. Fantastic. This one here is the Fantasy Hot Pink, and it's from the Cascadia series. Really absolutely an intense pink. I think as we get further into the flowers, we're going to see a little bit more of the white center in there. That's one thing about like Petunias, Verbena, and a couple other plants. The first flowers aren't always true to what the color is going to be. Once we get to the kind of the second round of flowers, that's when we end up seeing the true colors come through. This one here is Surfenia Deep Red. Really nice red color. It's a pretty vigorous variety as well. So we've always happy to have that one. New to the market this year is the Surfenia Heavenly Amethyst, or it's an Amethyst Burst or Amethyst, yeah, Amethyst Burst. And you can see beautiful veining, has just that little bit of almost like a lilac violet here. It's not completely white, but it is a really pale color around the edges, and it pairs so nice with the Heavenly Cabernet. So you can see you could plant those together, and that veining in the amethyst is going to really bring out what we see in the Cabernet. And then here's an example. This is the Funhouse Potpourri. First blooms aren't getting their yellow color yet, but we are going to start seeing yellow when the temperature kind of changes and the daylight length changes. Over here, this is the Super Cal White Pearl. And the Super Cals are those really great ones with really nice sturdy flowers on them. And this one has kind of a nice little yellow throat. So reminds me a little bit of some of the Calibrachoas in there. But this one here is just, it's been a real stunner, and it's such a pure white around the edges. Over here we have Flower Showers Mayan Sunset. And we're going to see a little bit more kind of a brighter center in those as the season progresses. This is very similar to the Supertunia Persimmon as well. So this is kind of a new variety that's out there. This one is part of the Funhouse series as well, and it's the Peach Melba. And I think as they get a little bit more mature, I think this yellow rim that you see actually gets a little bit more of a peach tint to it, if I remember correctly when I saw it in person. And then over here, this is a Supertunia Vista. It is the Jazzberry. This was new last year, and it is such a nice growing plant. It gets covered with flowers, and it's a Vista, so it gets really big, but it has a real dense kind of habit to it. So it looks great in containers. Then over here, this one is the Royal Velvet, which is kind of their classic purple. And I think, if I remember correctly, the Royal Velvet flowers tend to be a little darker than the one that I'm seeing there. That is one of the first blooms, so I think this other bloom that I found is maybe a little more truer to what I remember the Royal Velvets being. But either way, absolutely stunning color. I put this Croton in here just because I'm so impressed with the leaf colors on that. So we have some with yellow veining, some with orange veining, some with red veining. We also have another variety of Croton coming. It's called Mammy. Has a little different leaf, a little different color scheme, but really beautiful. And this is, you might recognize it more as a houseplant, but these do really well outside. They can handle full sun. In fact, I think they get their color when they're in more kind of a full sun environment. So absolutely fantastic. Now this flower is kind of on its way out, but this one here, oh, sorry, trying to get the focus, there we go. This is a Gara. So this is the Beliza or Beluza, I can't remember how to say the name, dark pink. There's also a white variety. These are nice because they get very, very large, and they're a real nice wispy flower. They almost look like little pink and white butterflies flying around your plants. They're really, really nice. It's a great thriller. They get nice and tall. This is a Crossandra, and we have not carried this variety before. It's orange, gets pretty big. I think, let's see, it gets 12 to 20 inches tall, about 12 inches wide, so it gets kind of like a mini shrub and gets those beautiful orange flowers and has a beautiful waxy leaf. So even if it's not flowering, you're going to get a really nice leaf kind of foliage effect going on those. And this is one of the first osteos to open, so I absolutely had to show it to you. The variety, I got to look up, oops, I dropped the tag. The osteos are ones that we don't necessarily have to trim, but we did find that giving them a little trim has been a benefit. Let me get that tag real quick. So it is the Margarita Plus Pink, and this one will get really large flowers, and I'm expecting these colors to get a little bit more pink. This is actually a beautiful lavender color though. I wouldn't mind actually having one in this color. If it stays this color, I'm not going to mind it at all. And then we have the Thunbergia. This is the lemon appeal, and these have been doing so well this year because we've had this sunny weather and it's been pretty warm, and that's the conditions that they absolutely love. I don't think I showed you these yet. These are some more petunias. This is from the Capella series, and so this is Capella mulberry, and the Capellas are a little bit more compact and they're more of a mounding variety, but this is an absolutely stunning color. Nice, dark, rich mulberry. You can't beat it for when you're looking at kind of those more dark types. And then this one over here, this is the Petunia coral. And what I really love about this is that veining in the middle is going to make this much easier to match this with other colors. So, you know, you don't have to worry about it being a coral on coral, because if you go with something darker, or if, you know, you have another type of color palette in there, the veining kind of makes it a little bit more versatile as far as what it matches with. And then this one here is another coral. This one is not true to color. So this is the Easy Wave Coral Reef. This is just the very first bloom off of these. And if I remember correctly, these are much more solid once they start blooming. But the first blooms, like I said, sometimes don't always look true to color. Now I also have these hanging baskets with some varieties in there, and this one here is the Super Cal Bordeaux. And this, again, the Super Cals have those nice sturdy flowers. The color on this one is just stunning, and I think it gets even more intense with the next wave of blooms, but it's a nice solid, you know, good looking color there. This one here is the Headliner Blackberry Vein. And this one, I specifically picked it because I was on the hunt for a kind of purple veined petunia that didn't fade. So the edges on this and the center of this keep their color all the way through the season. Another Super Cal, this is the Cinnamon. This has been a very popular one simply because it's such an unusual color. And then over here, I've got the Wave Red. So the Wave Red and the Wave Coral were the first to bloom. And then over here, take a look at that. That's the Wave Purple. That is kind of the one that made Wave famous. And then I have the Itsy White. And last year we had Itsy Magenta. Looked absolutely fantastic. It has that smaller flower, spreads really nice. And so this is a great petunia to kind of include in your mix. It's kind of an alternative even to Bacopa if you wanted something that can handle kind of more sun and isn't as sensitive to water and that type of, you know, situation. This is going to be a little bit more forgiving than Bacopa. And I have one more over here to show you. Now this is the Itsy Magenta, but this one is in a combo, and there's actually an Itsy White in here and a surprise. There's Itsy Pink, and Itsy Pink is not available to the public, but when I contacted the grower and asked them about the Itsy Pink, they said it is online to come in 2024, but they had it in this combo called Trifection. And so they asked if I wanted to be one of the test places for it. So we have the Trifection mix, which has the pink, the white, and the magenta Itzies in there. So hey, if you want to be the first to try out the Itsy Pink, this is pretty much the only way you're going to probably be able to get it. So these here are both Super Cals. So this one here is the Orange Sunset. This one was an absolute stunner last year, and it is going to get a little bit more of an intense orange as the season progresses. Behind it is the Yellow Sun, and that one has been really stunning too. One thing I will say is that you do get a little bit of veining in that yellow as the season progresses as well, but it still looks really, really great. And then I wanted to show you here, this is the Kufia vermillionaire firecracker plant. We call it the hummingbird plant because the hummingbirds absolutely love it. You can see those little orange flowers. Hopefully I can get the focus to work there. This will fill with those flowers. It is a really low maintenance, easy plant that gets nice and large. We have a couple of varieties of Kufia, including Hummingbird's Lunch, Sugar Bells, and Honey Bells as well. So this is probably the biggest of that grouping, but the other ones are hummingbird favorites as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little sneak peek. Now it's time to start trimming.